Good evening. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt podcast. Tonight, the war on British patriotism. And why is flag shagger an insult? And why do the left-wing people think they can just use that and use the word gammon? Isn't it racist? I want your views. Come on, get them on the comments now and we'll have a damn good discussion, because my name is Jon Gaunt and this is a very, very important subject. It's one of the biggest culture war debates in the United Kingdom today. Why is flag shagger now a viral insult? And why is British patriotism, our love for our flag, our country, our culture, under constant attack? If people don't like it, bye, leave. Why are ordinary Brits like you and I mocked just for waving the Union flag, or for supporting our armed forces, or for daring to say we're proud of our history and culture? Why does loving Britain, your own country, now make you a target for insults, terrorism, bullying, criminal acts? And why is it okay to call somebody gammon, but it's not okay to use a different term for other parts of our community? It's wrong. Just like ageism in this country. It's wrong, but it's allowed. So I'm going to get to the truth tonight. No spin, none of this media snobbery. I just want to have a real debate about national pride, British patriotism, free speech, and class politics, because it all comes down to class. Let me just finish this little bit for now saying this. Patriotism isn't performative. It's called loyalty. It's called loving your country, wanting to protect it, wanting to defend it, something which most politicians don't understand, which is why we've got the crisis at Dover. The day after 7/7, the 20th anniversary, we're no safer than we were back in that day in July. No safer whatsoever. Why? Because our politicians hate our country and they haven't protected us. So when you wave the Union flag, when you honour our fallen heroes, when you stand proud for the national anthem, you're not putting on a show. You're respecting our shared identity. You're respecting sacrifice. And most importantly, you're recognising and identifying and respecting the history that built this great nation. I would say the greatest nation in the world. It's about honouring those who fought for freedom, those who gave everything for this country to even exist. And here's something you won't hear on the BBC. Patriotism actually strengthens society. Although if you believe the BBC, if you believe most of the mainstream media, they would say patriotism weakens society. They would say it's the far right. The flag doesn't belong to the far right, just like it doesn't belong to the far left. It belongs to all of us. We reclaimed it years ago. Why is it okay for Scottish people to wrap themselves in their flag, and the Welsh and the Northern Irish, but not the English in the flag of St. George? I'm talking about Britain, though, as a whole. And, of course, the flag that should unite all of us is the Union flag. A country without pride loses its glue, its social cohesion. Patriotism unites people, no matter their class, their background, or their religion, or at least that's what it should do, especially in hard times. And let's face it, we're in real difficult times at the moment. And national pride, pride in our flag, pride in our culture, pride in our history, could bring us together, will pull people together, which is why it's important anyone who comes here to live here, it shouldn't just be a multiple choice about what it is to be British. You should fit in or ship out. That doesn't mean you have to lose your own culture. You can use that, or your own language, but it does mean you've got to learn to read, write, and speak the English language as well. It does mean we don't need to have thousands of translators in hospitals, in courts, and in police stations. People should be coming together. If you don't want to do that, don't come. but there's a whole load of people in the country already who thinks the things I'm saying is wrong, is somehow racist. I mean, this is why I brought this subject up, because the pint of beer episode when I was down in Rosie's village, where people said I was being racist for having a pint of beer, which wasn't beer, it was lager, on a summer's afternoon. Because I said, I could hear the church bells. I was sitting next door to the bloody church. But evidently that was racist. I was celebrating being English. What are you on about? What are you on about? This is a great country. And so there's always going to be critics. The people who scoff at patriotism, who throw around words like flag shagger, which is offensive. Although I've got this thing today behind me, which says, I'm a flag shagger and I'm proud of it. Because the people who do slag us off like that, well, they all come from the elite, the privileged classes, the kind who sit in their London media bubbles, sipping their flat whites or their cafe lattes, eating their beef, tofu sandwiches, or reading The Guardian, even though it's all misspelt, and going to Greece on their holidays in their Birkenstock sandals. I despise these people. But they use flag shagger as if they're being clever, to put you down, to silence you, That's what it's about. They are completely, and I include all of the political class in this, they're completely disconnected from working class Britons who do still believe in their communities and in their country. That's right, isn't it? That's the difference. We're proud of our country. We're proud of the cities or the towns or the villages where we come from. We are proud, and why the hell shouldn't we be? I'd like your views on this. I put up a tweet earlier to say I'm going to do this, and I've got one almost immediately. This guy on Twitter, this is what he said. Listen to this. This is my home as much as yours, and there's plenty to be proud of in this country. But flags and our culture and history isn't on my list. By the way, talking about typical left-wingers and suggesting people leave the country suggests you are guilty of a bit of binary simplicity itself. See, he didn't like it because he'd made a bit about our culture not being proud of. And I replied to him saying, you're a typical one-dimensional left-winger. It is possible to be proud of our culture and history, but also critical of certain parts of it. Of course it is. It's called maintaining the dialectic and not thinking in such binary ways. You could always leave. That's what I said to him. And I mean it. Fuck off. We don't want you in our country if you're not proud. If you're not proud, why don't you want to be proud? Yes, we can talk about the slave trade. Yes, we can say it was wrong. But we can also say we were the first to stop it. So I can't bear all this. Why? And this is my original tweet that got everybody going today. Why is flag shagger such an insult? What's wrong with loving your country, loving your culture and your traditions, proud of your history and proud of the armed forces? Why do those who use that term, flag shagger, as an insult get away with it? And why do they hate our country and our people so much? And then I finished off by saying, is it a form of racism? I'd like your opinion on that. If you're enjoying the show, please smash that like button. Just keep pressing the like button. It all helps with the algorithm. If you really like what I'm doing, make sure you join my YouTube page, Jon Gaunt TV. It's free to join. Let's start with some comments and then I'll come back to my essay on where I think the world or our society is. Dormston Cook says, evening Gaunty, haven't been on for a while. Hope you're well. Can you believe we're giving a state visit to Macron? I wouldn't worry about the state visit. We should be asking him for our money back. How many millions have we given him? And the King's got involved, which I'm not happy about. It's quite obvious the French are doing that to us. And we should get our money back. Now there's going to be one in, one out. It's Starmer's latest idea, but I'm getting distracted. I don't think we should give Macron a state visit. And today he's actually said, oh, it's great the way you're coming back into the EU. We democratically voted to get out, didn't we? So Dunstan then said the reason the establishment says patriotism doesn't work is because it doesn't fit their narrative, Gaunty. You're absolutely right. All politicians across the world are globalists. They don't want us to be proud of our country. They don't. That's what the EU was about. They didn't want us to have borders. And I noticed the King said, we shouldn't have a border between us and France. We haven't got one anyway, Charles. Every Tom, Dick and Abdul can get in at the moment. It's a joke. And a country without borders is not a country. So you're right, Dunstan. They don't like people like us. People who say, I'm British and I'm proud. It doesn't mean I hate other countries or other nationalities. And it doesn't mean that somebody who comes and lives here can't be British as well. Of course they can. Of course they can. If they fit in and join in. But we're not meant to be the bloody United Nations. Just like our health service, it's not meant to be the World Health Service. The clue is in the title. National. Slurs like gammon and flag shagger, says Chopper, MK50, hating the flag, pulling down statues, deleting history. They'll be burning books next, but they don't need to do that. The government's doing it for them. We've been here before. Nazis were National Socialists, and the clue's in the name, Gaunty. Thank you very much indeed. T1000 says, good evening, sir. Thank you. Paul Mack has put a load of money bags there. I don't know what that's about, but thank you very much indeed. And Seasider Mark says, in my experience, this is on YouTube, it's not other religious minority communities that have a problem with British pride and the flag. It's the aggressive, intolerant, left-wing who despise their own flag and nation. You've summed it up, Seasider. They're the people I'm really talking about. They're the people, 700 and something thousand impressions now on my tweet about having a pint outside a pub. And I basically said the church bells are ringing. And then I wrote, this is England. And some of those people said that was racist. I'm glad to see common sense has asserted itself. The majority of people agree with me. It wasn't racist at all. I just think all of this is a terrible situation we're in at the moment. What do you think? Let me have your comments now. Write them down below and I shall read them out and it shall feed into the debate as we continue. Right. Flag shagger. Let me just make this clear. Make no mistake. It isn't just a joke. It's what would be called a classist stir. It's a way to mock ordinary people who still dare to be proud of Britain. And defending your country isn't nationalism. It's pure, simple, common sense. Wanting to protect your borders and then to safeguard your traditions and to put your own country first, that isn't racism or xenophobia. It's basic self-respect. It's called sovereignty. I mean, I can't believe the way that Starmer keeps finding money to give to other countries. Ukraine wants even more money. Who did we give money to last year? Oh, we've been now giving money to Syria, which is being run by ex-Al-Qaeda operatives. I'm not saying the last person was all wonder and lights and roses round the cottage door. No, but we haven't got the money to keep spending as if we're a lottery winner on speed. Many patriots would argue that anti-patriotism, as evidenced by people on Twitter, is far more dangerous than nationalism. Because when you shame people out of loving their country, you leave society fragmented and weak, easier to divide, easier to control. Is that their game? Dead interesting, because from Barcelona, Pip Tomlinson, who's one of my regular viewers and listeners, he wrote up before the show started. I've just gone back to it now. He says, I remember Emily Thornberry, who's now Dame Emily, turning her nose up at the house that had the England flag up during the World Cup a few years ago. I remember this. The Labour lot have always looked down on anyone that's proud of the national flag. You are absolutely right, Pip. And I don't understand it. You wouldn't get this in France. You wouldn't get it in Spain. Why is it that we've got it in this country? And am I going too far to call these people the enemy within? Because I think they are. They will just constantly attack anything. That's why we've now got soldiers 30, 40 years after the Troubles, members of the SAS, they're trying to put them in court. Starmer, if he wasn't the Prime Minister, he would be lead prosecutor, wouldn't he? It's people like him. Meanwhile, the Birmingham 21, the people in Birmingham who died or seriously were maimed in the pub bombings, yes, the Birmingham 6 didn't do it. They took too long, obviously. They didn't do it. Who did do it? And where's the justice for the 21? Where is the justice? And the answer is there isn't any. Could it be because they is white and they is English? That's what's wrong with our society. And let's just talk about history for a moment. No nation, let me be clear, has a perfect history. There are things about our history, there are things about our empire, and I've traveled the world and seen the relics of our empire. And certain things you think, oh, no, that's wrong. The slave trade, obviously. But one has to remember, William Wilberforce finished the slave trade, and we did it before any other country. Now, of course, the reparations, the slaves and the ancestors of the slaves, the future generations, they never got the money. The slave traders got all the compo money. And that, again, is wrong. And there are certainly some of our soldiers have done wrong. I'm not saying they're all saints. Parts of our history, not good. You could talk about the partition of Pakistan and India. You could take a stronger view on Israel. You can do anything you want. But I would say, at the risk of sounding like a cliche, 2 world wars. If it wasn't for us, we'd all be walking and living under the jackboot. And I'm not exaggerating. We didn't do it on our own. The Russians helped, and the United States, of course, they did. But a lot of other countries folded. We're a great country, and a lot of our English, Scottish, Northern Irish, and Welsh blood, British blood, was shed in freeing Europe. So patriotism isn't about ignoring the past, it's about learning from it. The things that were wrong, putting right if we can. It's about acknowledging our mistakes, but it's also about keeping that in balance, which schools have forgotten about. You've got to be proud of your achievements too, because without pride in your history, you've got no future. And I've always said, if you don't know your history, how can you know your present and how can you look forward to the future? You can't. So we do need to know about our past, and kids do need to be taught the good and the bad about our history. But at the moment, it seems like the pendulum swung to, let's just talk about the bad. Let's put the horsehair shirt on. Let's whip ourselves. Well, I'm not going to do that because I believe we're a great country. And if that makes me a flag shagger, so be it. Because the real problem is not about people flaunting their patriotism. It's the snobbery, the sneering, the enemy within from those who want to silence it. People who don't want us to remember our fallen heroes. People who don't want us to have our traditions and our culture. This guy who sent that text earlier said, I'm not proud of our culture. And I wrote back saying, Shakespeare, Chaucer, Edward Bond. I mean, we could go through a whole J.K. Rowling. We could go through a whole load of literary giants. Same in fine art. Same in theatre. We punch above our weight. And then the one thing that we really do that is in rock and roll, rhythm and blues. Yes, America has produced more. It's a much bigger country. And it started there. And yes, all popular music is music of black origin. I know that upsets some of you, but that's what I believe. However, what a great music culture we've got in this country. Apart from that jerk the other day at Glastonbury. But I just think Britain's losing its patriotic spirit. Or is it being deliberately manipulated and taken away from us? And if so, by who? I think it's this liberal, sneering class, right? They've won the election. That's the other thing. They've just won an election, but it's all falling apart. Starmer's government's not going to last. Reeves will be gone within a few weeks. And I don't think Starmer will get through till Christmas because they don't understand real people. That's why Farage is doing so well. Farage does understand ordinary people. I know he's got his own problems at the moment with that guy who sounds like a bit of a jerk. But that's the difference. We want politicians who believe in us and believe similar things. Doesn't mean we can't fall out and have debates. But the most important thing is we should be proud. We should be desperately proud of our flag, desperately proud of our culture, our background, our art, our sport. Although sometimes that's a bit hard, I know. But do you understand where I'm coming from? We're a superb country. Don't let people convince you of anything else. And here's the big question. Who actually benefits from shaming people for loving our own country? Please join in, have your say, write your comments at the bottom of the screen, because I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with standing up for your country. And in fact, at this time in history, it could be the most important thing we do right now. I'm not European, I'm English and British, and that's what I want to be, and that's what I will remain. That doesn't mean I don't love Europe. I love going on holiday there. I've got lots of friends in Italy and in Spain, but I'm English and I'm British. So smash the like button, subscribe, it's free, and share this broadcast. If you're proud of Britain and you're tired of being told to feel ashamed of being British or English. I'm Jon Gaunt. This is the Jon Gaunt podcast. Let's now get to your comments. Thanks very much indeed for listening. Going crazy on the comments, so thank you for that. Where should we go? Susan Thwaite says, I totally agree and reform forever. Thank you very much indeed. Dormston Cook, I'm not going to read out your comments. Have you forgotten what the rules are? We've got an agenda. We've got a debate. I don't want to talk about Rupert Lowe tonight. I don't want to talk about him. So don't try and distract it, mate. Okay. Talk about the agenda. There's plenty to talk about. Culture, heritage. One in, one out. That's going to help the figures, says Craig. That's him reacting to what I said earlier about Starmer's new plan. Thank you very much indeed. Paul Stenford, he's reflecting back on what happened at the weekend when I had a pint of lager. People criticising, why did you have lager? Why didn't you have beer? It was boiling bloody hot. It was about 34 degrees. I can't drink bitter. I mean, I'm a Bass drinker. I had a couple of pints of Bass last night, but I can't have Bass. Well, they didn't sell it in that pub. But you can't have it then in the heat. You want a lager. And then I said, oh, well, you're the big patriot, but you're drinking Spanish lager. It wasn't Spanish. It's brewed in this country. And I wouldn't care less. I like a bottle of Moretti now and again. Now, that's brewed in this country, but it's of Italian origin. Am I meant to be a racist when it comes to my beer? Weird. And all the liberals were going mad about that as well. Paul Stenford, reflecting on that, says, what you need is a nice pint and a pork pie. Somebody did say that at the weekend, Paul. I said, no, I've got some pork scratchings. That'll wind them up. But by the way, if you're going to have a snack in a pub, don't have crisps or nuts. The best thing you can eat in a pub, apart from a pickled egg, which is very much the best thing, but you can't get them nowadays. The best thing for your health, pork scratchings. All that great proper animal fat. What about the King of the United Kingdom? Does he not have a say in this matter? He's just sitting on his throne like an ornament and collecting tax money, says Glenn McCulloch. Yes, correct. Technically he could, but people keep saying, why doesn't he interfere? I don't want him to interfere. I don't like what he said today about France. He should keep out of politics. I'm not against the royal family. I believe in that. I believe in the tradition. And I believe in the pomp, the circumstance, the whole idea of how we put on those events. Nobody puts on big events like that better than the British, do they? They don't. We've got so much to be proud of. Look at our inventions, especially the Scots. How many Scottish inventors there are? Television, telephones, the internet. That was a British guy, but English guy. But you understand what I'm saying. We have basically created the world. and then let America take all the profit, which is perhaps a bit of a mistake. John, in the Great Crusades, they were flag bearers. I'm proud of my English flag. Men fought and died for it. Absolutely right. But it doesn't mean we need to be racist. It doesn't mean we need to be superior. And most people aren't. All they're saying is, I'm English or I'm British. But what I'm fed up of is you can't say that, especially on social media, especially on X. I found it really interesting this weekend, the amount of people who wanted to run our country down. What are they doing here? And these sounded to me, from the way they wrote, they were British born and bred, or English born and bred. Why don't they F off? I don't get it. Blair wasn't lying when he said education, education, education. What he meant was 20 years of brainwashing kids. So now we have to deal with 2 generations that have been taught through a left-wing filter. I think that's a really good point, Chopper. I think that is a really, really good point. Our kids, they don't seem to have any pride. I went to that carnival at the weekend in the village where Rosie lived, and it was just tremendous. Oh, and by the way, some people saying, oh, there's no ethnic minority. There are. There's 2 Indian restaurants in the village. There's Indian. I don't need to justify like this. And a Chinese restaurant and the rest of it. They are there, and black people. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't have to stand here now and say, oh, there is. What I'm saying is, they're still celebrating the indigenous population, the original population's culture. That carnival had been going on for 70 odd years. And it was people, a whole community having fun together. We used to have the Coventry Carnival. It was brilliant because, of course, we had all the factories. And so they all had a lorry. They all had a float. Coventry Carnival now is crap, right? I remember I was in the 8th Coventry Scouts, Cubs at the time, I think. And Eddie Ogle, who was our leader, they made a blooming Loch Ness Monster. And all the scouts sort of led it. All the Cubs, idiots like me, had to wear green tights and be underneath it. It was all paper mache. And there's about 100 of us walking in a line, making this Loch Ness Monster move. Fabulous. Team effort, all working together. But just a wonderful event and an affair at the end of it. Fantastic in the park, in the Memorial Park. Just brilliant. And when I went to this village thing, it was on a much smaller scale, but it was the same thing. And it was multicultural. I mean, I think I said to you over the weekend, I think I put a picture up of it. I had jerk chicken and rice and peas. There were a group of people who'd come from Birmingham or Wolverhampton, and they had a stall. But there was other people selling Oriental food, stir fries and stuff. But there was also people doing Mexican food. There was also people doing Indian food, samosas and the rest of it. So the new Britain was mixing with the old Britain. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Do you agree with me? And Britain is a better place for well-controlled, managed immigration. Our food offering is definitely better. Do you see what I'm getting at? We're a great country. And I don't see why we should be ashamed or scared to say, well, actually, I'm English, I'm British. Then I'll be European as well if you want me to be. But I love our country. And I was only saying to my sister-in-law today, when the weather's good, is there any better country in the world? Answer, no. Not in my opinion. I've travelled right across America. I've been to India a couple of times now. I've been to Russia. I've been to a lot of Europe. I do like Italy, I've got to say. But our country, and not just Cornwall. I was talking today about Scotland, over in Fife. Is it places like Crieff? Is it called Crieff, Crail, Anstruther? Best fish and chips in the world there. There's beautiful. Go to the lakes. Go to the Peak District. Britain is a great country. And when the sun is shining and you've got a cold beer in your hand, it's fantastic. And that's what I was trying to get out of the weekend. Sitting there in a village, a rural village in Oxfordshire, but it could have been anywhere. And they must have been practicing for the next day for the carnival because it was on a Friday. And the bells are ringing. And you're drinking a beer. The sun's beating down on you. Little things are happening in the village. People are going into the church to put in stalls and artifacts for the next day. Everybody knows everybody. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. And it makes you feel proud to be English, in my case, and then British. It's a fun, despite the politicians of all sorts. It's a brilliant bloody country. It's a brilliant country. If you agree, send me a comment. If you disagree, send me a comment. T1000 says, yes, personally, it's been deliberately taken away with backdoor deals, etc. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to get too political tonight in a way about Starmer. But Starmer's doing another shoddy, shaky deal with Macron. Macron's let the cat out of the bag today, saying, oh, we're so glad you're now aligning more with Europe. The only country we should be aligning with is the United States of America. And we've got to stop giving our country away. Why does everyone want to come and live here? Because it's brilliant. So let's be careful who we let in. After 7-7, I mean, I said this yesterday and I had some great comments and people talking about my broadcast 20 years ago when I was on BBC London. Don't forget, I was the first person to speak to people as they came out of the tube. We're less safe now because they're not going to do the big spectacles, probably, as they call it. But these so-called lone wolves, people driving cars into people, shouting Ali Akbar. Do you want that? I don't. And we don't know who's got in through Dover. I don't want that either. That doesn't make me a racist. That makes me say, we've got a wonderful country. I don't want to just give it away. If you like what I'm saying, feel free to press the like button. And if you'd like to donate, you can do that as well. Just press that dollar button on the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube and donate anything that you fancy, right? And also you can donate by going to www.buymeacoffee.com, all one word, /Jon Gaunt, buymeacoffee.com /Jon Gaunt. You'll find it in the notes on the screen and you'll find it in the notes if you're listening on a podcast. If you could donate anything from $5 upwards, you can either buy me a coffee or a beer. Most people buy 3, but it's up to you. And can I say a big thank you to everybody who has donated? And many people come back and donate again. So thanks for that as well. I've got to update my little list of all the people who have donated. But just to show you an example, here you go. There's some thanks. So thank you very much indeed for doing that. Because I do get some money out of the advertising. It's a trickle at the moment. I'm looking for sponsors for the show like I had before. And I'm sure I'll get them. But at the moment, I require and I rely on your donations. And today's a big day because it's always Tuesday night into Wednesday morning when they draw the line. So for me to have any money next week, this is your last chance this week. Does that make sense? Anyway, if you can help out, chuck a $5 in. It all helps. All right, let's take some more of your views now. I told agree. Send them all back, says Philippa McManus. Now, Philippa, it's not just about people coming in. And it's not a matter of, because a lot of the immigrants who've got into the country have made it a much better place. They have. But it has to be well controlled and managed. Now then, Daunston Cook, you're back on the agenda. Good lad. He says, real ales and a proper old boozer with church bells ringing in the background is what the English countryside is all about. You filthy, wasteth. How dare you say something so English, so British? You are a wasteth. I'm pulling your leg, Dormston, but you understand where I'm coming from. All right. And then he says, the pub we use in Worcester is right next door to a churchyard, and it actually stands on consecrated ground. It's perfect. Thumbs up. The bells ring regularly too. Thank you for your comments. So, if you want to comment on that, and what is it as well about this political chattering classes? The media are the same. What is it about them? It doesn't matter which party they're in. They're somehow, maybe they're ashamed about being British. And would you ever define yourself and say, oh, I'm a European? I can only do it by qualifying it by saying, I'm English, British, and yeah, okay, I live in Europe, so I'm European as well. But I'd never want to be European. And a country without borders, as I keep saying, is not a country. It's just a district. It's just an area, which is what the EU wanted. I don't want to be part of that. I just don't want to be part of it. I also don't want to live in a society where people can attack me for my age. You're getting loads of that. I'm 64 now, so I'm getting loads of it. You silly old codger shouting at the clouds and all this nonsense. They wouldn't say that about me if one of my defining characteristics was that I was black or Asian. Why do you think it's okay to say it because I'm older? And I'm only 64. 64 is the new 40, haven't you heard? Well, that's what I keep telling the wife. But also, and then this thing, gammon, you're gammon and flag shagger. And that's why today I've kind of a bit like some of those black or rap stars in America where they reclaim the N word, or homosexuals where they reclaim the Q word and started calling themselves that. I'm doing that now also for the flag shaggers. I'm a flag shagger and I'm proud of it. I am proud of it. I'm proud of being English and British. If you don't like it, stick it where the sun don't shine. I'm going to finish in a minute. So if you want to get on, you need to get on now. Mark Taylor on Facebook says, 100% a great country. I don't know why everyone wants to give it away. Mind-boggling how some people end up with these views. Yeah, but Mark, remember, most people don't want to give it away. This is what Farage is focusing on. It's the biggest question. This is what Starmer doesn't understand. It's not the cost of living crisis, although that's part of it. I tell you what the problem is now. People want to keep their country. They don't want men of fighting age getting into the country, don't even know who they are. Ask the government who they are. They don't know. Ask where people who've overstayed have gone. They don't know. They don't even know what countries they come from because they've thrown away their passports. And then they put them in hotels and you're paying £8 million. And then they allow them to work for Uber. And just like Keir Starmer saying, oh, I didn't realise that she was crying and bawling her eyes out behind me. Bullshit, right? They do the same thing. Oh, I didn't realise they were delivering meals for Deliveroo and all the rest of the companies. Didn't realise. They must think we're stupid. I've been banging on about this for months. It's obvious it was illegals. It's obvious that the big companies were playing the system, making money. And you're buying that crap food and basically supporting illegal immigrants. Well, I don't want to do that. Do you? So just go back to your point, Mark. It is a great country. We don't want to give it away. It's the politicians and the media class, the establishment class who want to do it. Oh, thank you very much. Craig Urquhart has just thrown in £2. That's very kind of you, Craig. He's just pressed that little dollar button and donated. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Paul Stentford on YouTube says, John, I'm a flag shagger. Put my flags up on every day at St. George's Day and Remembrance Day. I'm just fed up, though, as it's only one day for these heroes. Well, you're right. I still don't understand why St. George's Day is not a bank holiday. It should be, shouldn't it? I must say hello to a lady. I've forgotten your name. She got in touch with me yesterday on Facebook Messenger, I think, saying, oh, I used to listen to you all the time when you were on BBC London. You're brilliant and on Talk. And I remember I met you in the Dirty Duck in Stratford. And I think her name was Molly. If I got it wrong, I do apologise. But it brought back really happy memories. Yeah, we did an outside broadcast from that pub. It's opposite the Royal Shakespeare Theatre on St. George's Day. It's a great event. And that was for Talk Radio. I just remembered it was when I was on Talk Sport or whatever it was called. Don't think they do things like that anymore. Why can't you be proud to be English and British? I'm proud to be English and British. Does that make me a flag shagger? Jackie, yes. Because you're the one who said to me earlier today on Twitter, you said, I don't know what a flag shagger is. Well, you do now, Jackie. And actually, if you are one, be proud of it. I'm proud of it. I'm absolutely proud of it. IPA is a nice middle ground between a bitter and a lager. You what? I don't. Depends what. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I like Green King IPA if I'm not on Bass. I don't drink as much beer as I used to because it's low carb or whatever. But you're talking about the American IPAs, aren't you? Or the craft IPAs. I don't really like them, if I'm honest. Nice chilled on a hot day, but not as gassy as lager. Punk IPA is lovely. I think I've had a can of that before, but again, I'm not a great fan, Chopper, I've got to say. I have a cold lager if it's really hot. Otherwise, it's a pint of Bass. You can't beat a decent pint of Bass. But anyway, These left-wingers, they were saying that, you shouldn't wear Ray-Ban sunglasses. That was another bit of their idiocy. Evidently, you should buy only British stuff. Where's that come from? They're the ones who are being racist. I just honestly, I don't get it. It's got to be about education. It's got to be about our politicians not leading by example. It's got to be about us saying we've got a load to be proud of. Yes, we should be critical. We should be critical of things that we've done wrong or things that, looking back on it, not right. And our kids should learn their history in the whole. But I feel now they're just getting taught diversity. I mean, that's the big thing, isn't it? Diversity is our strength. No, it's not. We can have a diverse population, but in the end, we've all got to come together, oh, dare I say this, under one flag. There are people in this country who would rather wave the Palestinian flag, and quite a few of them the Hamas flag, than the flag of democracy, the Union flag, in our country. And I just find it disgusting. I just find it absolutely disgusting. Craig Melvin says, I'm proud, mate, but living in Coventry, we feel we need to get out as I'm becoming a minority. Yeah, that's true. It will be a mainly ethnic population soon. I've read that somewhere. It's like Birmingham. Only being honest, it's nice to hear your voice. Regards, Craig. Yeah, but Craig, but not all immigrants are your enemy. You've got to remember that. You've got to remember that because, again, they want to divide and rule you. I think this is all part of the agenda. Make us all into a mush, right? Well, I don't want to be in a mush. I like being English with all our peculiarities. Yeah. Imagine, I spent quite a bit of time in Italy and in Spain. You tell a Spaniard or an Italian to be less Spanish or less Italian, they'd tell you where to get off, and you wouldn't need a translator to know what they mean. They're proud. We've got to be proud, and we've got to silence these idiots and their hate speech using words like gammon, flag shagger, little Englander. That's another one that they use. We've got to get on top of this, and we certainly mustn't be teaching it in schools. It doesn't make you a racist to say you're proud of your country and you want to learn more about your culture, your traditions. I like learning about other things as well, but it doesn't make you a racist. Be proud. And that's me done. I'll be back tomorrow at 6:30, unless it gets really hot, because I think it's going to. And if it does, I shall do it earlier in the day. But until tomorrow, the most important thing, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to keep telling them you love them. And remember, England, Britain is a great country. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching.